For the next few minutes, we are going to show you how to correctly take apart a Mac Mini mid-2010 system. We are doing this in part because we are seeing cable connector damage on return service modules and want you to understand how to avoid such damage. Keep in mind that this is an overview and that the Apple Technician Guide should always be consulted for additional information. Compared to earlier Mac Mini models, the Mac Mini mid-2010 systems are much easier to open. From that point, you have a number of options. We will be removing parts in this order: memory, fan, cowling, antenna plate, logic board, airport Bluetooth combo card, speaker, battery, hard drive, power supply, optical drive, IR board, and cable. As we do so, we will be pointing out areas where you need to exercise special care. Let's start with the system memory. There are two main memory modules in the system. To remove each one, gently spread the clips at the end of the modules and pull the module out of the slot. Once removed, be sure to keep the modules on the mat or in individual ESD-safe bags. This applies to any parts you remove from the system. Now let's take out the fan. To remove the fan, we are going to loosen the 3 screws with a Torx 6 driver and lift the fan up to access and disconnect the fan cable. Be sure not to put any stress on the fan cable during disconnection. The next item to remove is the cowling. Use a Torx 6 driver to loosen the screw at the bottom of the cowling, and then lift the cowling up slightly and pull straight out while rotating slightly clockwise. A black stick is useful in pulling out the cowling. Next, you remove the antenna plate using a Torx 8 driver and a 2mm hex wrench. Use the black stick to lift the assembly up slightly and move it to the side to reveal the antenna cable connector. The cowling is sharp, so be careful when disconnecting the antenna. The logic board of the Mac Mini is designed to be slid out of the housing. At the same time, the cables attached to the logic board do not have any slack in them. This means carefully disconnecting cables before any attempt to slide out the logic board. Here is how you do it. Use a black stick to disconnect both flex cable connectors. Next, you have 4 cables with vertical insertion connectors. Use a black stick or tweezers to gently lift each connector from its socket. Remove the T9 standoff screw, the 2mm hex screw, and the T6 screw. Once all connectors are disconnected, you need to use a special tool to begin sliding the logic board out. Be sure to insert the tool in the capture hole shown here. Carefully push down and pull back until the logic board slightly separates from the housing. Then remove the tool. Use tweezers to gently disconnect the power cable. Once the power cable is disconnected, push in on catch tabs on either side of the logic board. Then slowly slide the logic board straight out. Make sure that the memory bracket does not catch or damage the EMI gasket. To remove the airport Bluetooth card, first disconnect the 2 antenna cables, use a black stick to disconnect flex cable connector, and then use a Torx 6 driver to remove the 4 screws. Then slide the board to the right and lift up. To remove the speaker, use the Torx 6 driver to remove the 2 screws. Lift up the speaker to show the speaker cable. carefully disconnect the speaker cable. To remove the battery, use a black stick to push the battery up and out. With the logic board removed, the hard drive can be slid out as shown. To remove the power supply, you first slide the retention clip as shown here. Then rotate the power cord socket 90 degrees. Using a Torx 6 driver, remove one screw. Then pull out the power supply, rotating it slightly left. Mac Mini mid-2010 systems have optical drives, and Mac Mini server mid-2010 systems have a second hard drive. Here we are showing how the optical drive is removed. There is one Torx 6 screw to remove, and then you lift the drive and carrier assembly out of the case. If you are working on a Mac Mini server mid-2010 system, consult the Apple Technician Guide. The IR board and cable are located on the optical drive. Use a Torx 6 driver to remove the screw and make note of the IR cable routing on the drive carrier. Then remove the IR cable from the cable channel. This concludes our take-apart overview for the Mac Mini mid-2010 systems. We have concentrated on the Mac Mini mid-2010, but the server version of this model is quite similar. As you saw, there are a number of steps where cable connections need to be handled with great care. We hope this video helps you to avoid any damage to these systems. If you have any comments about this video, please email us at svc.trng@apple.com. On behalf of AppleCare, thanks for watching.